What's up, Canuck fans? Welcome to the Lunch Vancouver Canucks podcast, a proud presentation of DraftKings Sportsbook, as well as a proud member of the Hockey Podcast Network. Be sure to check out the network for your favorite podcast covering your favorite team at the hockeypodcastnetwork.com, the home of hockey podcasts, every team, everywhere. Now, in this video, we're going to be asking the question, who would you rather have? And as you can tell by the title, we're going to be talking about that said question is McKenna or Stenberg. And particularly, we're asking Canuck fans if the Canucks ended up winning the draft lottery and drafting first overall, who would you want and who would you choose? We're going to look at both players, look at their stats, as well as an article. Now, let's start off by going over the article. We're also going to start off by looking at and talking about Ivar Stenberg, getting more people familiar with him and what he brings to the table. So there we go. Last year at this time, almost every Canadian NHL team found themselves in contention to make the playoffs. Unfortunately, this year is a lot different. Although half of the season still needs to be played, 5 of the 7 Canadian teams are on the outside looking in. When it comes to playoff contention, 3 of those teams are closer to contending for the first overall draft pick. As of Tuesday morning, the Vancouver Canucks are 32nd, the Winnipeg Jets are 31st, and the Calgary Flames are 29th. Have some of the best odds to win the draft lottery this spring if their fortunes don't change dramatically. If one of these teams were fortunate enough to land the first pick, they will have a difficult choice to make. There's a ton of talent at the top of this year's draft class. Gavin McKenna started the season as the number 1 ranked player. In late November, Keaton Vierhoff had overtaken McKenna, and while both of them are great players, worthy of being in the discussion for number 1 today, coming out of the World Juniors, there is a new number 1 prospect for the 2026 NHL draft, according to some, which is Swedish forward Ivar Stenberg. What you'll read here is my breakdown of Stenberg's overall skill set in key categories, why he's a complete player, as well as his projected role at the NHL level. Let's bring that up. So here's the scouts analyst, his hockey IQ at 95, skating at 90, shot is at 90, offensive zone 90, defensive zone 90, and physicality at 80. He's obviously playing for the Frölunda HC in the SHL. He has 24 points in 25 games. 6 goals, 18 assists. He's projected to be a first-line forward. 200-foot detail, elite hockey sense, play driver, dynamic offensive skill. 5'11", 183 pounds. He's listed as 6 foot, but they will obviously update the actual height and weight closer towards the draft. So I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. But as you can see, his hockey IQ is at a 95. He's projected to be a play driver, dynamic offensive skill, elite hockey sense. And if we continue, let's take a look at Stenberg's offensive upside. Stenberg's offensive... I just had a chill run down the back of my spine. Stenberg's offensive contribution playing professionally for Frölunda in Sweden's top pro league, the SHL, is pacing towards record results. The top offensive draft-eligible player in SHL history is former Vancouver Canucks star and legend Daniel Sedin, who produced 42 points in 50 games during his draft year. Stenberg is at 24 points in 25 games. We're going to take a look at Stenberg's shot volume, as well as a little chart that showcases it. Further evidence of Stenberg's willingness to seek out high-danger scoring areas in the offensive zone comes from analyzing where on the ice he directs pucks on net. The large majority of his shots on goal come from between the faceoff dots in the opponent's zone. As you can see there, 75% on the right side, 9 for 12, 61% on the left side, towards the left faceoff dot, 13 for 21. And then he's at 92.9% right in front of the net, 26 out of 28. 46.4% right up the middle there, in between the faceoff dots, 26 for 56. And he's 3 for 5 from out here, at a 60%, 44% from just past the blue line, 11 for 25, and then 22.2% on the left side just before the faceoff dot, a 2 for 9. And then he's also 2 for 3 at a 66.7% from behind the net. Stenberg doesn't take any shifts off. He competes in all three zones on and off the puck. His most dynamic element is his offensive upside, which we just went over. His coaches at the pro level and the most recently completed World Junior Hockey Championship never shy away from having Stenberg on the ice in close games. Taking faceoffs in the defensive zone, he leverages along the boards and doesn't shy away from contact. Ivar Stenberg leads by example. He plays the game fast, has elite hockey sense, and he's a relentless competitor. The way he attacks the game offensively is a byproduct of his detailed approach overall. There's a chance some other prospects might end up scoring more than Stenberg at the NHL level, but if that does happen, he won't be far behind. For example, he ended the World Juniors 5th in scoring with 4 goals and 6 assists in 7 games. He was +5 defensively and averaged 20 minutes of ice time per game. Stenberg continues to prove he's the kind of prospect who thrives in high-pressure scenarios. He never shies away from the challenge and delivers results when games are being played at the highest level. The harder the game, the more his team can count on him rising to the occasion. He is a complete player. So there you go. As was mentioned in the article, the top offensive draft eligible player in SHL history was Daniel Sedin, who produced, like we mentioned, 42 points in 50 games during their draft year, and Stenberg is on pace to break that. Yes, it only has him, or here, actually, hang on. I didn't even bring up his stats. Apologies for that. So as you can see here, these are Ivar Stenberg stats. I know it's a little tough to read, but I unfortunately cannot make it any bigger. But he is projected, as we mentioned, to have 40 points in 45 games, 10 goals, 31 assists. So there's that. He is on pace to break that record by Daniel Sedin. And so far, as we mentioned, he's got 24 or shit, sorry guys. Right now, he's got 24 points in 25 games. Right, there we go. And like I mentioned, he's on pace to break that record by Daniel Sedin. And Daniel Sedin was, his draft year was 1999, like the late 90s. That is absolutely insane. But when it comes to McKenna or Stenberg debate, I'm fully leaning towards Stenberg myself, and even more so after our video with Dave Hall, which, by the way, if you guys have not seen, go ahead and check that out. We go over all the prospects, including Stenberg and McKenna in particular. He's even more high on Stenberg than he is Gavin McKenna. Plus, Dave revealed to us, in his opinion, Stenberg is the more NHL ready player compared to Gavin McKenna. So we could see Stenberg be in the NHL as early as next season, like making it right out of training camp. Not to mention Stenberg, he's Swedish, and we all know the Canucks love their Swedes. We've had some great Swedish players don the Canucks crest, the likes of Marcus Naslund, Matthias Ohlund, Alex Edler, Thomas Gradin, and of course, Daniel and Henrik Sedin. I know some fans have been like, no more Swedes, enough with them. Hey, you can't deny the fact that how talented Swedish players are and the fact that they've had success here in Vancouver. You've also got guys like Niels Höglander, Tom Wielander, Elias Pettersson, the defenseman, and I guess to some extent the forward as well, Liam Ogren and Jonathan Lekaramäki. Now, before we continue and discuss more, particularly move to Gavin McKenna, let's do my mid-show sponsor read. I'd like to thank my main and primary sponsor, none other than DraftKings Sportsbook, the unofficial sports betting partner of the NHL. Never experienced the jaw-dropping moments that make hockey? Hockey? Well, you can experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN, that's code THPN, to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY, which is 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-9777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through per wager may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. This is a limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025, all rights reserved. I'd like to thank my secondary sponsor, none other than Gassy Jack Art, maker of this amazing artwork you see right in front of you, as well as over my shoulder on my videos. You guys can check them out yourselves at GassyJackArt.com. Now let's get back to our talk, and let's start. Now we've covered Ivar Stenberg. Let's move over to Gavin McKenna, some whom many would say is still the lock for the first overall pick. Dave, of course, that being Dave Hall, doesn't really think that's the case anymore, and he thinks Ivar Stenberg has kind of usurped Gavin McKenna, as did the writer of that article. But there's others who still see McKenna as the bona fide first overall pick. Plus, they also feel as though he has a higher ceiling than Ivar Stenberg, at least in the long run. Although many would also say that McKenna was not as impressive at the World Juniors as Stenberg, and that is why we're having this debate. Let me bring up Gavin McKenna's stats so you guys can see it. These are Gavin McKenna's stats. Now, for a couple years now, everybody has been talking about McKenna. Even last year, people were talking about him, and the 2025 draft hadn't even happened yet. Now, as you can see from his stats here, the first thing that probably pops out to you, or the first thing that stands out to you, is probably that 24-25 WHL season with the Medicine Hat Tigers, where he had 129 points, 41 goals, 88 assists in 56 games. That is insane. That is absolutely mind-blowing to see. And hey, if I wasn't big on, Ivar Stenberg and I saw that, I'd be like, yeah, I want that player. I want that guy. Give me that guy. Now, we mentioned the World Juniors and how McKenna wasn't nearly as impressive as Stenberg. Sure, he had one more point than Stenberg. Or, actually, he had 4 more points than Stenberg, I believe. But keep in mind, 3 of those goals that McKenna scored were in the same game when he had a hat trick when the Canucks, or not the Canucks, Team Canada absolutely trounced Denmark. That was the game where McKenna had a hat trick. Not to mention, Canada won the bronze medal, while Stenberg helped lead Sweden to a gold medal win. Regardless of that, the Canucks do get the first overall pick. They most definitely, as was mentioned in one of the articles, are going to have a hard decision to make on who they want, and it could very well be a turning point for this franchise. We got something else from McKenna. Also, I wanted to go over as well. McKenna's performance at Penn State in the NCAA hasn't been terrible this season, as he's posted 18 points in 17 games. However, he's got off to a slow start, and his pace is well behind what other top draft eligible prospects who've played in the NCAA have accomplished in recent years. His pace is similar to what 2025 7th overall pick James Hagen's produced as a 17-year-old college freshman. By comparison, Macklin Celebrini had 64 points in 38 games before going number 1 overall to the San Jose Sharks. Even Adam Fantilli had 65 points in 36 games before being drafted 3rd overall by the Columbus Blue Jackets. The World Juniors didn't do much to cement his status as the surefire number 1 pick. Although he finished 2nd in tournament scoring with 14 points in 7 games, he wasn't as consistent as top Swedish prospect Ivar Stenberg and Viggo Bjork. While he's still the consensus first overall pick, some scouting experts have listed him as the 4th or 5th best prospect available in the draft, which is crazy that he's dropped that much according to some. And the fact that Ivar Stenberg has kind of really upped his draft value, especially after the World Juniors. But as I mentioned, regardless of that, if the Canucks do get the first overall pick, that's quite a decision that they're going to have to make. And I know I've made mine, at least for now. And hey, between now and the draft, my choice may have changed to either another player or maybe it will go back to Gavin McKenna. I'll admit I originally was all for Gavin McKenna, and then I heard about Ivar Stenberg, saw his stats, saw how he played in the World Juniors, and I was like, okay, I want this kid. Not to mention he's Swedish, and it kind of goes with, the Canucks. And that's the thing with Stenberg too. Imagine Stenberg playing with Petey. We've been saying for years now, what if Petey had a solid winger or a solid player on his wing, not to mention a play-driving winger and playmaker on his wing? That is Ivar Stenberg right there to a effing T. That is Stenberg. Just imagine Petey playing with Stenberg and Stenberg feeding him the puck, and there you go. There's your winger for Petey. Now you just got to get another one on his other side. There's also, and this is probably a bit of a stretch, but just imagine if the Canucks actually traded up at the draft and were able to draft McKenna and Stenberg. Like imagine if they got 1st and 2nd overall, traded up. They win the draft lottery. They win the lottery, and then they trade up to get 2nd overall, and they they draft McKenna and Stenberg 1 and 2. Just imagine if they did that. That would be absolutely crazy, and that's probably wishful thinking and probably not very realistic, but it doesn't hurt to think about it or dream about it. So I want to know what you guys think. Who would you choose between McKenna and Stenberg? Has this video and maybe my video with Dave Hall, who, once again, if you haven't checked it out, go ahead and check it out. Has it changed your opinion on who you want the Canucks to draft? Has the World Juniors performances of both of these players changed your opinion and outlook? Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And as always, if you guys like this video, be sure to hit that like button And if you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks content, be sure to smash that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss a single video. Also, a reminder, we have our very own merch store. And right now we are selling our 1-year anniversary collection as we are rapidly approaching our 1-year anniversary of being a podcast. And you guys can go ahead, check it out. This 1-year anniversary collection is complete with a redesigned logo, both the blue and green version as well as a skate version. And as you can see right there, it really pops on our black hoodie, as does the white hoodie with the blue and green. Go ahead, check it out. We do have some sales going on for this specific collection. So go ahead, check it out, thelinechangepodcast.threadless.com. Join the discussion. Join our official Discord. There is a link to it in the description down below. It's completely free to join. We can have more discussions such as this one and debates on who the Canucks should draft, who the Canucks should trade, all of that stuff on our official Discord. Go ahead, check it out. Once again, there is a link to it in the description down below. You can find and interact with us on social media. We're everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, X, TikTok, even Blue Sky. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms. Speaking of platforms, if you prefer an audio version of this podcast, you can find us on both Spotify and Apple Podcast. On Spotify, feel free to give us a follow, as well as rate and review us on either platform. Also, if you have a favorite episode that you just can't help, that you just want to watch over and over and over again, feel free to download that, not only that episode, but any episode that you absolutely love. It really helps out the podcast, and we are obviously very, very appreciative of it. But once again, that's going to do it for me. As always, well, this is like what I've been doing. This is normally when I say let's go Canucks, but they're on an 8-game losing streak right now. We're wanting to tank. We want that first overall pick. So you guys know the drill. Let's keep tanking. Let's keep tanking. What do? We tank. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.